Dubai Eye 103.8.
Okay, rapid fire round with Lisa Merod, a lawyer from Clyde & Co this morning on the unemployment insurance scheme, taking your questions with that deadline passing yesterday. I'm just going to fire them at you, Lisa, because there's a lot of them. Number one, DIFC, people saying, I thought we were exempt. Are they?
Yes, the DIFC is indeed exempt. The DIFC, as a designated financial free zone, has the authority to decide on their own whether they wanted to opt into the scheme. And the DIFC did announce, I think a few months ago, that they are not subject to the unemployment insurance.
Okay, free zones in general, though.
Free zones in general, there is still some confusion until today, to be honest with you. So some of the free zones have said that they would encourage their employees to subscribe, but they haven't used terms like mandatory. The DMCC is one example of that. Other free zones until last week have still said they don't consider it mandatory. But they have also said that employees working for these free zones, such as the DDA, should look at the scheme and just decide on their own whether they believe it's useful for them.
A question about freelancers.
Yeah, freelancers and everyone owning their business, they are exempt from the unemployment insurance.
A couple of people asking the same questions. What happens if I sign up and then I change jobs? Do I need to apply again, or does my original policy cover me?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and one we received quite frequently in the past months. So you don't need to have your insurance amended, and you don't need to buy a new insurance. You just keep what you have already bought, even where you change employer.
All right, closely related to that, someone saying, what happens if my salary increases? Because you put in your base salary, don't you? What happens if that changes?
Yeah, that's correct. We have asked the ILOE, who is the provider of the unemployment insurance, that question a few months ago. And they have said you can then either inform them during the validity of your insurance to update the basic salary, which might lead to the fact that you have to pay an increase in fees. Or they have also said they would be fine if you wait until the renewal date to provide the new basic salary, which would then mean that you get less benefits in case of unemployment.
On the basic salary front, someone's saying, is it the basis of what's there on my labour contract or what I actually get transferred to my account?
Well, in an ideal world, that should be the same. Whatever is in your contract should be what is transferred into your account in terms of basic salary. If you are a ministry employee and you sign up online, the system will automatically provide your basic salary. So you will see that where you are working for the ministry, they have your data and they will take what's in your contract. If you sign up under the non-ministry tab, you will be able to type in your basic salary. So you could then use, for example, what's actually transferred to you instead of what's in your contract.
What about those? This is Rafi. Good morning, Rafi. If you start employment in Dubai after that deadline, after the 1st of October, what then?
Then you have 4 months' time to subscribe from the issuance of your work permit. So you will still be under an obligation to take out insurance. You just have a grace period to do it of 4 months from the issuance of your work permit.
Drew asking, what does it mean for commission-only staff who are employed, say real estate agents, but who may not get a base salary at all?
Yeah, as a commission-based employee, you can choose your subscription category. So you are still under an obligation to take out the insurance, but you can decide whether you opt for the 5 dirham per month premium or for the 10 dirhams per month premium.
Oh, curly one here. What if you are in one of the non-mandatory free zones, but then your job changes into a mandatory onshore?
Then the same applies like when you would be newly employed in the UAE. So let's say you're now working in a DIFC company and you change jobs. From the time you change jobs and your work permit has been issued, you have 4 months' time to take out unemployment insurance.
We're getting an awful lot of questions, Lisa, about domestic workers, whether it's maids, whether it's drivers, about A, whether or not they need to be subscribed, and B, whether or not it's the employer's responsibility to subscribe them.
Yeah, so domestic workers are another category that are exempt from the unemployment insurance scheme.
We've also got questions about whether or not this differs between different emirates.
As far as I'm aware, it doesn't. So the unemployment insurance scheme, it falls under a federal law, which applies throughout the UAE. It might just be the case that other Emirates have other channels to subscribe, but it's still mandatory in all of the 7 Emirates.
We've also got 2 questions, exactly the same I can see here from different people, saying, if I get fired and my employer cancels my visa, can I still claim?
Yes, you can still claim if you are fired and your visa is cancelled, subject to you having an alternative to remain legally inside the UAE, meaning that you will not be able to claim the benefits under the unemployment insurance if you are inside the UAE on an expired visa, subject to overstay fines, etc. So you will need to find an alternative way to legally remain in the UAE, such as, for example, staying during your grace period after visa cancellation, which can now be up to 6 months.
Okay, a lot of questions about golden visa holders who are also employees. What's the deal for them?
Yeah, same applies for golden visa holders under the unemployment insurance law and the labor law. As such, if you are a golden visa holder and you are employed by a company, you count as an employee as everyone else. So you will still have to take out unemployment insurance, and the same applies to you.
30 seconds left. We've got people saying I'm on a temporary contract, someone else saying I'm on a short-term contract.
Yeah, so with short-term contracts, it will depend how long the contract actually is. The law provides for some exemptions for short-term contracts, but generally, if we are looking at the fixed-term contract as such, which should now be the rule with ministry employees, you still need to take out unemployment insurance, but there might be some exemptions for temporary workers.
Thank you so much. In about 10 minutes, we are going to be speaking to the employment lawyer, Lisa Merod from Clyde & Co. She's in the studio because yesterday was D-Day. It was deadline day for registering for unemployment insurance. She's in to talk to us about what happens if you didn't manage to make that deadline, plus to take all of the questions that you still have outstanding. So now would be exactly the moment to get them in. 4001 or 04871 5500 if you do have any questions about that unemployment insurance. We have the expert in the studio. We're going to be speaking to her just after the news headlines.
Business headlines on Dubai Eye 103.8. With JAFSA, facilitating and processing over 1/4 of Dubai's automotive and spare parts trade volume. Visit jafsa.ae or meet the team at Automechanica 2023.
And the UAE's kept petrol prices fairly flat for October, raising them by just a couple of fil to 3 dirhams 44 for special.
However, diesel has risen 5% to 3 dirhams 57 a litre.
And good news for commuters. Dubai's Hessa Street is set for a massive $187 million redevelopment in order to ease traffic. That project's going to double capacity on the road to 8,000 vehicles an hour in both directions.
Saudi Arabia expecting to record a budget deficit this year, according to revised growth forecasts on the back of increased spending on giga projects, also revising its real GDP growth downwards on the back of lower oil production.
And UAE retail giant Lulu Group opening a 500,000 square foot mall in Hyderabad in India. That's its first in the state.
This is the Business Breakfast on the UAE's #1 talk radio station. Dubai Eye 103.8.
All right, thank you for those who are getting your questions in for Lisa at the moment. They are coming in at quite the rate this morning. Moving faster than Hessa Street, I would guess. Lisa Merod is an employment lawyer from Clyde & Co. She was in the studio talking to us when this was first announced. And so it is fitting that she is back in now that the deadline has passed. Associate in the law firm of Clyde & Co.'s employment department. Lisa, it's lovely to see you again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Right, as people get their questions in, remind us what we all should have done by yesterday.
Yes, so everyone who was employed in a UAE company at the 1st of January 2023 should have registered for unemployment insurance at the latest yesterday. The registration would have worked or is still working via the insurance's website, but there are also other channels like ATMs, phone provider apps or SMS.
And remind us again what is involved in registering and what you get for doing so?
Yeah, the registration is quite straightforward and simple. So every employee should have registered with the unemployment insurance by providing their Emirates ID number and the phone number. They would then receive an OTP to basically provide all the information, pay for the insurance, and get the insurance policy and the premium. What you get once you have signed up is once you have paid for 12 months consecutively into the unemployment insurance, you will receive certain benefits depending on your basic salary. So in case of unemployment, you will then receive up to 60% of your basic salary for 3 months as a payment.
Quick question. You said once you've paid for 12 months. I was a bit lastminute.com. I did it last night at about 8:30, I think. And I paid for a whole year in one because I thought I'm never going to remember to come in and start topping this up or anything else. Does that mean that I'm covered now because I've paid for the 12 months, or does 12 months actually need to pass since I've registered?
Yeah, 12 months actually need to pass since you registered. When I say you need to pay for 12 months, I have assumed you might have decided to pay on a monthly basis, which would have been possible. But you're right, 12 months actually need to pass, and then you can get the benefits out of the unemployment insurance.
Okay, well, Tom is testing it all out at the moment. For those who have missed the deadline, and we are getting a number of messages in from those who have missed the deadline, what happens now?
Yeah. So the ministry has announced yesterday that they will start imposing fines on those who have missed to subscribe to the unemployment insurance. However, my recommendation would still be, if you're listening to us this morning, just get in front of your laptop, register now. That will increase the chance that you will not be subject to fines. So do it as soon as possible. But if you haven't done it and you will be flagged by the ministry, the risk is that you might be fined 400 dirhams directly out of your salary via the wages protection system.
Is that a one-off fine? What happens if you just never register?
Yeah. So the fine is a one-off fine, but you still have to register, because what will happen is once your work permit is up for renewal, your employer will not be able to renew your work permit unless you have then bought the unemployment insurance. So you will not be able to never buy it. There will be a point in time where you have to pay for the policy.
It might be a good time to remind ourselves that there is actually a very positive practical reason behind this. We're providing a safety net, aren't we?
That's correct. It's the first time in the UAE that there will be a safety net available for those who lose their jobs in the UAE. So for 3 months consecutively, you will receive payments out of this insurance policy if you decide to remain in the UAE on a valid visa. And then during your whole tenure in the UAE, so during your whole employment lifetime cycle, you can enjoy the benefits 4 times. So 4 times 3 months, so you will get a maximum of 12 months compensation.
Let's have a look at some of the questions that are starting to come in for you. One is about employers and who basically is carrying the responsibility for this. There was an option for employers to get involved, wasn't there?
Yes, and there is still the option for employers to get involved. So strictly speaking, under the law, it's the employee's responsibility to sign up and to pay for the premium. However, employers are under an obligation to inform their employees about the fact that the policy must be taken out. If you are an employer and you decide that you want to sign up your employees to the unemployment insurance, that is possible via the ILOE's website. So you can then subscribe them and you can pay the premium on behalf of the employees.
Have you been getting a lot of calls over the last 24, 48, 72 hours from your clients about this?
Yes, we have received a lot of queries over the past months, I would say, in relation to, for example, how can we sign up on behalf of our employees? Can we pay an allowance to employees instead of signing them up to the unemployment insurance? But also simple questions around I need to terminate someone, what's the best way for me to put as a reason so they might benefit under the unemployment insurance? So there have been a lot of interesting questions over the past months.
That's really interesting. So employers are looking to see, if I have to let someone go, how do I make sure they're covered?
Yes, that's right. Because there is still some uncertainty under the unemployment insurance scheme, because it says you don't get the benefits if you were terminated for a disciplinary reason, and it's not clear at the moment what it means. The reason why it's not clear, it's simple, because no one was insured for 12 months consecutively. So there's no case at the moment where someone had the chance to get the benefits. So I think we need to wait until next year, January, February, until we have more clarity on that. But we had some questions from clients around, would it be better for us to say it's a redundancy dismissal or a restructuring dismissal? Should we name no reason at all? So we had some questions around what's the best way to proceed.
What's your gut feel in terms of how many employers out of, say, for example, your client pool have elected to do it on behalf of their employees?
I think it's the minority who did it on behalf of employees. I would say when I look at our clients, maybe 20% registered their employees and 80% just released communication to employees to say, this is what you need to do. Here's the link to the website. Please do it on time.
Right, well, we are going to be firing your questions at Lisa next. There is a very, very large amount of them, an employment contracts worth amount of them, covering everything from DIFC employees, we hear you, to cancelled visas, to country of residence, to basic salary, to blue-collar workers. You've got about 3 or 4 minutes left to get them in if you do want us to put your questions to Lisa. We're not going to let her breathe for the next 10 to 15 minutes. 4001 or 04871 5500 is the number to get in touch. Lisa Merod is a lawyer in the Employment Department of Clyde & Co.
Dubai Eye 103.8.
Join the conversation.